All right, welcome to week 4 of CST 8300. We're going to be going on to working together, and this is part 1 of that. So, just a brief overview, we're going to talk about teamwork, and we're also going to talk about conflict. This is really valuable because this is going to be practical for most of you and where you're going to end up in your field of work. So, teamwork. What are some advantages and disadvantages of working in a team? I know I can name several, and I'm sure you guys can imagine a lot of the disadvantages that you've already experienced, as well as some of the advantages. So some of the advantages, synergy, so meaning team can be stronger together than the members would be individually. So everyone teamed up together can have kind of different skills put together, making them stronger. Higher productivity, so more people means more people working towards tasks, so getting more stuff done when there's a team of people. Commitment, so each member feels ownership of the decisions and the challenges. So once everyone's part of a team, you have kind of a sense of commitment to not let anyone down. And avoidance of errors. So a team can review each other's work and major errors can be avoided. And overall job satisfaction. So a win for the team is a win for everyone, which is kind of nice. And like meeting a goal can be celebrated. So for disadvantages, unfortunately, this is a huge one, time wasting. So sometimes more time is spent socializing than actually working. I know that I've experienced this in several of my jobs, and it's kind of unavoidable sometimes. Conformity, so team members may succumb to a single influencer. So instead of doing your own thing of your vision, you might get sucked into someone else's vision because of pressure to conform. Diffusion of responsibility. Some members need specific assignments or so that they can't avoid responsibility. So that's really, really key. Some people might, say like, oh, it wasn't my responsibility, and then something just won't get done because of that. So, and conflict, of course. So differences among team members can lead to conflict. And groupthink. So the group may value getting along more than getting the job done, which can lead to irrational or dysfunctional decision making. What does a good/bad team member look like? So I'm sure everyone has their ideal vision of what that would look like, but try to think about what does that look like if you were a member of a team? Who will you need to collaborate with in your field? And how can you ensure effective, positive collaboration? So, 5 stages of group development. These sound really cheesy, but I'm going to read them to you anyway. So there's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. So the forming stage is when members are getting to know each other and they're on their best behavior, and like specific roles haven't been established yet. Storming is the group struggles to learn their new tasks and roles within the group. People start to exert power or shy away from it at this point. People start to learn about people's working styles and they may be displeased with some of those. Where conflict happens and where many teams may fail at this point. And then there's norming. So this is step 3. So group members become familiar with their roles and tasks and colleagues. They start to get on a bit of a roll. Members have started to learn how to function together as a team. And then number 4 is performing. So the group has found its momentum and is now functioning optimally. And then after all that happens, number 5 is adjourning. So closure and celebrating achievements. And these are especially helpful if you may work with the same team again at some point. So conflict. What causes conflict? Conflict is a disagreement or tension between 2 or more individuals or even between 2 different groups. The result of a perceived threat to your needs, interests, or concerns, often based on assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Conflict cannot be avoided, but you can control your own reaction to conflict. Conflict might be how someone deals, reflects their attitude, self-confidence, and maturity. So it's a big telltale sign of all those things. Often more likely with individuals we don't know or have a good relationship with, because we may feel defensive when they have a different perspective. So we're more likely to trust someone we know or like, that they mean well, whereas if we don't know the person, we might jump to conclusions and get defensive just naturally. So think about what kinds of conflict might you encounter as a student or while working in your professional field. How can you resolve conflict? So some tips, always resolve in person if possible. Listening and not interrupting. Acknowledging that it is likely a breakdown in communication. Being respectful and not getting personal. If you feel threatened, identify why. Maybe this is based on insecurity alone, and there's no real reason to feel threatened. Avoid making assumptions by clarifying your understanding with that person. Consider the other perspective even if you don't agree. So making the other person feel heard, and even if you don't agree with it, hearing the person out can be proven to resolve a lot of conflict. Involve an impartial mediator. This is a good tip. Maintain confidentiality and professionalism. Staying calm and objective. Anger can often mean irrationality, and it can make things worse when you add anger to just a conflict in general. Avoid placing blame. So instead of saying you statements, maybe saying this action was this instead of you did this. Take responsibility for your actions and always apologize if it's necessary. Focus on the solution rather than dwelling on the problem. Think of multiple solutions rather than focusing on only one option. Make sure everyone is satisfied with the solution in the end, or it will lead to another conflict. And recognize when you need to agree to disagree. This is something that sometimes happens. And remember that retaliation does not resolve conflict. So there's different conflict management styles. So forcing, so sometimes used when behavior is offensive or unacceptable. So this attempts to make the other side do things your way. Other side can't really give input. Remain calm and do not turn situation into argument. The goal is to provide a solution while communicating that the behavior is unacceptable. And there's avoiding, so used when offense is not worth dealing with the conflict, so acceptable option in some situations. Sometimes used when we're not strong or confident enough to stand up for ourselves, which isn't really ideal. Accommodating, so allowing the other side to have their way without them realizing there was a conflict. Often used when preserving a relationship is a priority in that case. Compromising, so both sides give up something of importance to arrive at a mutually acceptable solution. And collaborating, both sides work together to arrive at a solution without having to give up anything of value and the ideal result, but this can be very time consuming. So what does it mean to be assertive? So there's on one end of the spectrum, passive behavior. So not standing up for your rights, constantly allowing others to have their way over yours. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have aggressive behavior. So standing up for your rights in a way that is offensive and would violate the rights of others. Somewhere in the middle is where assertive behavior falls. So if it's a spectrum, assertive is like right in the middle if it's a perfect medium. So standing up for your rights and not letting people step all over you, but you're not violating the rights of other people by displaying confidence and defending position in an inoffensive way is your goal. So now that we have all that information, these are a few videos that I'd like you to take a look at on your own time. So there's an interview and there's also a TED Talk. And then there is also going to be an assignment, and this is called the Team Success Plan. So I'll open that up so you guys can see it. So it's worth 10%. It's the same kind of deal as the assignment you did last week. So you did a personal success plan. Now you're doing a team success plan. So I recommend using Microsoft Teams for this. I use it all the time to collaborate with colleagues. You can use whatever you wish though. If you all prefer to like hop on Skype together to get this done, that's totally fine too. Yeah, basically you're gonna fill out all these questions, and then at the bottom here is how I'm gonna be grading you. And also there is an optional Zoom, and that is going to be Thursday at 7:30. All right, please email me if you have any questions.